So, hi everyone. Let's start with that. Hi, Ali Amarsy, CSO at Digitas. Great. More importantly, you've been here now 24 hours.
Yes. Yeah,
So
24 hours.
So you've lost like 10% body weight in sweat.
Oh, yeah. I'm
If-
loving this diet.
Yes.
If you were to open a pop-up Lowe's here, other than industrial AC, what would you stock there?
Don't steal mine.
Go first then.
All right, I'm thinking a sprinkler system, a slip and slide,
Yeah.
like a baby pool, maybe setting it up as like an obstacle course. Start with one, step by step. We sell all of those things
You
too.
do.
We do.
Can you deliver them to the south of France? I will give you whatever you want.
We cannot do that.
Okay. Not yet.
Not yet.
Not this year.
So what I would add to that, love that. I would start with because we're known for our garden centers. I would start with a very lush, shaded garden center. I would also we sell this great bounce house and slip and slide combo. I would add to that, which I think would be really great. And then probably lastly, as everyone, Ubers are awful here. Can't really get around, but we do sell these fun little like toy car things that are for toddlers, but I would totally rent those out to everyone. And can you imagine the Cosette, just a bunch of like little toy cars kind of running down, automatic. You can have your fan, you can, have your music blaring. You don't have to worry about it. I think that's a great idea.
I appreciate the hustle, but
Yeah.
I think so. I'm both French and Canadian. I think the French would finally hate all the Americans and be like,
Oh.
you brought your golf carts and your fans and your music. Like, please never come back."
I think they already do. So
I
it's
was just
fine.
going to
Yeah,
say
it's-
that's
it's-
not
I
new
don't-
news.
It's not
Yeah.
new news.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. So this is Cannes, Festival of Creativity, heavily driven by creatives. So I do want to start off with brand, which is the main reason why we are here. And I'll speak to you as a consumer, not as a strategist on your business. Not that I am one. When I look at Lowe's, I think of it as a place for DIYers. And when I look at Home Depot, I see it as a place for pros. That is the heritage that I've grown up with. I know that you've made changes on your side. I'd just like to see, where are we at? Obviously, that's not the case, but where are you headed? Where are you at?
Yeah, I mean, it isn't the case, but I will say qualitatively, DIYers give us a ton of credit because we just have a better shopping experience, cleaner, wider, brighter aisles. We have better displays. There's a lot of reasons why we get that sort of halo effect. But one of the big things that we're after so that we can balance both the consumer and the pro segment and their affection toward our brand is the positioning work that we've been working on for the last couple of years of being the most helpful brand in home improvement. And so really everything that we're doing, whether it's tech-enabled or emerging technology, whether it's the product that we're bringing in, whether it's services that we're offering for our professional customers like job site delivery, is all in service of being the most helpful brand in home improvement. And so I think when we are, sort of reimagining this position and what's important to all of our segments, that's helping us to refine and not just be known as a DIY retailer, because we have to win with both segments. They're really important.
I love the elegance of just that thought. We just want to be the most helpful brand in home improvement. That opens your aperture to the right to win in many places. And frankly, is what some of us need. For those of us who show up ignorant to your stores, it is one thing. And for those of them who show up as experts, it's another thing. So speaking of which, Joe, I know that you've developed quite a few technologies to live under that big promise of helpfulness in home improvement. If you could just cover a couple of those.
Absolutely. So because we have a big portion of DIY, people are changing in the way they search. They're not just searching, refrigerator. They're not just searching, I want to build a deck, so what is the best deck board? They're saying, what do I need to build a 10 by 10 deck outside? And so we use Milo, which is kind of our AI chat assistant bot agent that really is just helping our customers get what they want in a faster way. And what I mean by that is that people have real intent. They want to understand how to do something, what products are actually attributed to that. And so with this great agent that we've built, it not only gives you how-to articles, it also gives you what's in stock in your store, what you can purchase right then and there. And even if you might not do that project yourself, and you might maybe hire a contractor or maybe do half of it like me and say, I can do this, and then actually need a contractor to finish the rest of the job, it's there for you. So as Jen kind of talked about us being the most helpful, home improvement retailer. That is huge for us. And I think the competition really isn't doing that right now. And I love that. Basically, just trying to remove those barriers. And with our AI agent, which is consistently learning day by day, we're just getting better and better.
And let me add on to it just real quick to say that in our research, we found around this notion of helpfulness and this territory that we landed on, that we actually get more credit for helpful, friendly, knowledgeable associates. And so Milo was really an extension of that, that we could use emerging technology and AI to be to be able to show up for consumers no matter where they're at. And now we're applying that to our store associates too. So Joe, has taken that same technology and integrated it into a companion app so that no matter where you're, at in your journey, whether or not you're online, whether or not it's in your app or in store, we're there helping you with answers.
And I love that last word, which is as we graduate from Google to LLM, Google meaning like old school search, where I have to speak the language of the merchant. I can now just be like, yo, I want to be a great host this summer. Or like, I want my backyard to be less crap, right? These unstructured, large questions that can hopefully come back with informed brand-led brand-led answers is the future, from information to answers. So as you build that future, I was surprised, to tell you quite honestly, and please take no offense in that. But when we did the prep call for this, the type of company that you keep, Lowe's, the hardware store, with forget NFL stars, which we spoke about. You're going to introduce me to.
And they matter too, just saying.
Yes. They do. They're the great conduit to the everyman. But the type of tech company you keep is crazy. If you could please just elaborate for the audience. You're homies with OpenAI, very close.
Yes. There's not a lot of companies of this scale and size that partner with OpenAI. We are one of them. We're one of their largest partners, which is amazing. So a lot of our underlying technology is from OpenAI. We live with them. We work with them. We're consistently kind of ideating. What do the customers want? And with kind of Milo, we've kind of built a walled garden where we are kind of learning within an ecosystem of what do home improvement people actually want. And the great thing is it's a consistent innovation. So as fast as you see AI and agents moving, OpenAI is moving a whole lot faster. And every time we do a presentation to anyone in the building, people are like, it can do this, it does this as well. It can consolidate my emails, tell me what I need to do, give me great recommendations of what I should be purchasing, what trending keywords are there. All of that stuff would take time, energy, effort, and people. And now we're able to actually focus in on the strategy. And so having that amazing partnership with OpenAI, with Apple, we're actually launched in a couple stores, a great Apple Vision Pro. So you can take a great picture of your kitchen and say, all right, let me just choose all of this tile, and visually you can see how your kitchen can come to life. So things like that don't really exist anywhere else. And so we are really excited to kind of supercharge how AI is helping customers and really fulfilling dreams for the home.
Who let you? How did you get this? As you said, your competition is nowhere near that.
Right.
It does not think on this level, and certainly does not execute on this level. How did this open season on just go do what's right for the consumer? Where did that mandate come from?
Honestly, it came from our CEO, Marvin. Marvin is customer obsessed. We need to do the right thing for our customer. And that is something that a lot of companies, while they say that, we live and breathe that. And that's one thing that I think is the reason why we were able to partner so heavily with OpenAI, is because they saw that that's what we were doing, and we were living it, we were breathing it. And that's something that, again, is so imperative to where their mission is. They're a nonprofit right now, and they just want to help. They just want to get information out there. And that's the same thing that we are doing. And overall, it has just been an amazing experience to work with them. And every time we meet, we come up with some new, exciting initiative. And that's what gets them really excited. It's not just, here's a box, play in it. It's the world is our oyster. What should we do to help customers?
I love when you're describing the world's most cutting-edge technology. You have yet to speak about a server or a piece of tech. You're just talking about what can help a human just do better in home improvement. I love that. You've never spoken about the tech in each of our conversations. You're just like, hey, what's going to help?
Right. Basically, it's we will figure the tech out. What is that end result we want to get to? and let's work towards getting there. And the great thing is there's such amazing minds in our tech industry, from our side and from their side, that we're able to kind of figure all of this out together, which is huge. Like, you don't really get these type of partnerships. This is kind of a once in a lifetime opportunity, which is why I joined the company, because I could never say no to someone that was so integrated and with so much opportunity. Yeah.
Speaking of opportunity and new places and innovations, and again, I'm in awe of the philosophy within your company that allows for this space to play. Speaking of play, my understanding is that you've had partnerships with even like EA Sports, not the place that, well, you can find me there, but that's probably, there's a truth in that somewhere. There's some work being done there. How did that come to life? How do we substantiate it, and how has it looked?
Well, listen, if you zoom out a little bit from the broader kind of, hey, I'm enamored by this notion that Lowe's is modernizing and thinking about technology different. The idea really stands for the brand, too, at large. I mean, part of what props up the brand is that you can go into a primary competitor of ours, and it's dingy, and it is for the pro, and it's dark, and it's dirty, and that we're cleaner, that we're more modern, that we are thinking about the customer differently. And so as you're starting to think then differently about the customer, you have to ask yourself, well, how am I going to find new audiences who can then have an open mind to think about us differently as well? And importantly, right now, particularly in this macro environment that we're dealing with, in the home macro, there are less housing stock. It's all-time low. People aren't moving out of their homes because the interest rates are high, and we're at an all-time low. And then the idea of taking out a loan against your home, which home values are at an all-time high, but people aren't tapping into that because HELOC rates are so high. Then you have to start to ask yourself, if I'm in gridlock with boomers and Xers and and millennials who are more of the homeowners, how am I gonna start talking to audiences that are younger, in particular Gen Alpha, who are now growing up and not potentially going to buy a home until they're 38 years old? 38. So how am I going to wait 38 years to start talking to somebody? I can't. I have to start making this brand relevant to younger customers sooner. And that really is where you'll see the EA Sports, when we'll talk about it in a minute, but we're talking about creators and leveraging creators to start to use their voices to be more relevant. And then as a part of our loyalty program, we offer kids workshops where we're bringing kids in, and they can, hands-on build projects, earn badges, and kind of, gamify what it means to be a part of our brand. And one of the most recent and up and coming that we're excited about in the workshop capacity is that we partner with Lionel Messi. And the idea of Lionel Messi was, he's the most assistive soccer player of all time, and we want to be the most assistive home improvement brand. And so to bring these two big brands together, all under this guise of helpfulness but being assistive, was really cool for us as we were entering into soccer. But now as we sort of level up and go into phase 2 of this relationship with Lionel Messi, who, by the way, is one of the biggest content creators in the world, is that he's doing a skills workshop. And then we're going to host skill parties for kids in our parking lot. So can you imagine, hey, mommy, I want to go to Lowe's this Saturday. I want to go take, the moves like Messi camp that we're offering. I want to learn his moves. And only there can you find that. And so you just think about home improvement differently. And that's because we want to be a relationship company. We want to be a part of your lifestyle. And to be a part of your lifestyle ultimately means that we're going to be connected to you with your home, because home is a part of your life. So that's kind of the connectivity that we're going for with the brand.
You could have just paid for his endorsement, put his face everywhere, the way most of our industry does. But the fact that you picked him for assist, and then you bringing it to life in places near the point of purchase to drive, that is properly thought out. Again, I know we just met, but
he's crushing on us. It's fine.
Yo, Lowe's is cool.
Of course we are.
I bet you 5 years ago, no one said that.
That's true.
That's
I bet you a couple years, no one said that. And I bet you until most of these people heard about what's happening behind the scenes and what's about to drop, no one said that.
Correct.
I say that.
Well, that's what we're after, so we like it.
Yeah,
we like it.
we love it.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, so I know that we opened this entire conversation in our intro speaking about search.
Yeah.
We had such a good conversation in the prep about this. I don't even know how to recreate that, but I do want to explore your philosophy around search. Because obviously search is just Google, right?
Well, I'm going to start, but I'm going to kick it to Joe because he's got a lot of big ideas on this too. But one of the big ones for me and for our team as we're thinking about it is that scrolling, we think of scrolling as search. And you got to be crazy if you're not thinking of scrolling as search because you wake up scrolling and you go to sleep scrolling. And that is really a reason why we're here in Cannes this year is to launch our creator network. And we have 17,000 creators already in our network, but we're trying to triple that number or quadruple that number. And we recently just announced a partnership with Mr. Beast, who is joined our creator network, and he's creating a custom storefront on Lowe's.com. Already has, it's live, so go out and check it out. But you can, and we're also building Mr. Beast Season 2 City, the city for the Beast Games. And the Lowe's associates are going on site, using our products, building it, et cetera. And so why does that all matter? Well, creators, I think, are the Google of the world. There are a lot of other things and places where you can tap into search, and I'll let Joe cover some of those. But in our mind, this is a strategy to win the buy in the way that we consume content and show up, again, no different than EA Sports and some of these other strategies, where the consumer is spending their time.
I told you then, I'm telling you now, I live one deck at a time, and I'm stealing that line that scrolling is search.
Yeah.
Someone's going to think I'm super clever.
You're welcome.
And I'll just piggyback on that. Like when we think of search, 5 years ago, it was very steady state. We all knew what we were supposed to be doing, paid and SEM and SEO and what do we do for media and all that stuff. And as we're kind of looking at what the consumers are searching for, like when I look at part of that Gen Z customer that Jen was talking about, one of their major searches, because right now they're in an apartment, they say, how can I refresh my bathroom for $500? Basically, got no reno. And things like that are really exciting to me. There's like this great intent that they have. And so search is not just, I'm going to Google. Search is, I need information, and I'm going to get that wherever I'm at, whether that's on a ChatGPT, whether that's on Milo, whether that's on TikTok, Instagram, whether that's on Facebook. And so for us, it's really just focusing in on how can we be helpful in all of those channels and not just say, we're slinging product for you, but how can we actually help you achieve what you want? And that's something that is a really big shift. And it's a big shift in the marketing community in general. And I think as people kind of move maybe a little bit slower, those ones are going to fall behind, which is why we are moving so quickly. Because as you've seen, 3 years ago, if I said, hey, ChatGPT and agents, people would have just looked at you and said, what are you even talking about? And now every single person, that is a topic of conversation in dinners, passing by, anything. People are consistently asking about that. So it really is just a great way for us to say, search is evolving so quickly. And how can we be on the forefront, again, to be that most helpful player in that space?
One correction. I don't think everyone's talking about the stuff you're talking about. Like the dinners you're going to? No, for real. Like 90% of the dinners happening here, if they are talking about it, I bet you 90% of them are pretenders. The type of stuff that you're talking about is practical.
Yeah.
It is proven, it's on the ground. You know that it screws up. You know how to work with it because you work alongside it.
Yeah.
So I'd love to attend these dinners because they sound real.
All right.
So congratulations on that.
Thank you.
One last question about the creators before we get into the last question is, other than the opportunity to, I didn't even know about the Mr. Beast, other than the opportunity to be along shoulder to shoulder with Mr. Beast, with Messi, with an NFL star, what is your pitch to those creators that you want to triple your creator network with? Because I know someone who may be able to hook you up.
So one of the coolest things I think about Creator Network is that we're looking for creators of all sizes, right? We want micro influencers, we want macro influencers, and so one of the things that we said, and Jonathan, who leads our social team at Lowe's, is here, but we had this moment about a year ago where we brought all these creators into what we call our store manager meeting. So every year we bring all 2,000 of our store managers into a place, and they kind of walk a floor and they see all this innovative new products, and we saw them all hands on, and it was just sparking all the projects that they wanted to do, and so what we came to was this conclusion that creators are actually literally creating things at Lowe's. They're not just creating content. They're actually building content with their own two hands, a garden, a climbing wall, a kitchen. And so there's this idea that, yes, I can go curate a look and I can go pull some things off of a shelf. But then there's also, like, I can actually build this and show people how to do it. And that also is in service of helpfulness, because it's one thing to kind of pull it together. It's another thing to show people how. And I think that's really appetizing. If you're a creator, it just takes your job to the next level. You're not just kind of on the mic. You're actually doing things. You're truly creating. That's our pitch.
Yeah, love it. I love that we're at the Church of Helpfulness, and that like everything comes down from helpfulness. And
Amen.
There's never a phrase without it. That speaks to the fact that you all have bought into that purpose. So speaking of which, last question. We're going to be back here 5 years from now. We'll be dying because of global warming, so I'll show up in a bathing suit. But what will when your plan comes to action, right? 2 years ago, no one would have said, hey, Lowe's is cool, is my assumption. Today, they're beginning to, because we're seeing the behind the scenes. But this will come to front of market, go to market. 5 years from now, what story will we be telling if your plan comes into action?
You first or me?
I'll
go.
You go. You go first.
So I actually, I'm going to answer it a little bit differently, because I think what's so cool about what Joe and the tech team are doing together around technology sort of amplifying our work is something that I see 10 years from now being a little bit more of the surround sound, because my hope is that we get back to an IRL community, and that is so critical for home improvement, is to be in real life. And that in real life is really more of the center stage, and that everything else is sort of the supporting cast. And I think Gen Alpha, who grew up surrounded by all of this, is going to just think that this is normal. You know, AI and all of this is going to be very normalized for that generation. So I hope in 10 years that we're back to this hands-on creator, builder sort of mindset, and that we played then an even more interesting role in that as a brand. So that's our hope, is that we've got, you know, younger audiences who are bought into who our brand is, and that they are either going into the trades industry maybe instead of going to college, or that they are taking on these projects themselves instead of, like the millennials, they're paying others to do it, right? Millennials spend more in services and in home services than any other generation. They are not a hands-on generation. So we want these up-and-comers to really be the next generation of builders.
So like you would be helpful and amplifying.
Yeah, helpful, and then also demonstrating what that looks like through this generation.
Awesome.
That's great. So what I would say is so in line with what Jen is talking about. And what I'm thinking of is in 5 years, we are going to be at the point where you can just go on your phone and just say, hey, Lowe's, I want to make my backyard look like a resort. Mm-hmm. Show me the contractors in my area with 5-star reviews. Show me everything that's in stock, give me 3 different options, and we'll actually serve everything up for you. And to Jen's point, we need these people. And we actually have a great program at Lowe's that helps people get into these trades that can actually do that right then and there. Because right now, if you do that, it is, okay, I'm Googling, I'm on Pinterest, I'm here, I'm going to Lowe's. Is it in stock? There's a spreadsheet. I'm putting this in a Google Doc. Does this make sense? You're working with your partner. You're like, this is just too much. And it is chaotic. I'm actually renovating my house right now, and it is definitely still chaotic. So I want to remove all of that friction, and I think we 100% can do that. Because if we can do that, we can tap into kind of customers. And just like Jen said, we want to be part of your home, where all the happiness kind of and joy lives in your life. And we want to be a part of that story, to say we were able for you to kind of achieve exactly what you wanted for your house and make it so easy for you. And Jen even had a great point. You know, millennials pay for services. They don't have time. And as we kind of start to see these new generations, time is going to be the biggest commodity we have. But if we can remove that from you and say, we've got you, Lowe's has your back, we can do whatever you need us to do, that is where I see us going, that will make us just so solidified in everybody's lives.
Yeah. I mean, as a brand strategist by training, it's inspiring to see how you've rallied around helpfulness, and how you're even going to the right places, the right voices, the right partners to bring that to life. Wishing you all the best, and hopefully we can see that future 5 years from now and 10 years from now as well, hopefully.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.